So, welcome. My name is Sebastian Wichmann, and for the ones of you that don't know me, I really have been consulting over the past probably 10 years to small entrepreneurs and to individuals like yourself of how to live a meaningful life, how to evolve, how to live with purpose and direction. And that is really dear to my heart, if this makes sense. I have also consulted to big corporations all around the world, and I'm consulting right now to those corporations in the airspace industry, in the insurance industry, in telecoms industry, but really what brings me always back is you. And what we're going to talk about today is, I believe, the number one strategy that I have identified over the years, if this makes sense, of how to create more clarity and direction in my life. And it allowed me as well to make sure that I execute on my purpose. You know, in my life in the past, I was just at times just dangling along, purposeless, aimless. And as you would understand, in that regard, if we don't have a clear purpose of what we aim to create in life, it obviously doesn't create results because we're just dangling along, if this makes sense. And as you understand, you know, I'm a neurolinguistic master practitioner. I've won the Super Coach Award in 2014 for best coaching practices in a leadership capacity, because I have understood, or I understand, that in order to change your reality, you really need to change the way you perceive the world and the way you act upon the world. And there's a fine balance, there's an equilibrium happening between the mind that is obviously working towards to achieving certain things, and we all have wants and requirements and desires in life and so on. And we also need to offset that and to balance this out by making sure that we create the space in between thoughts so we can create the clarity we're after. And I will talk about this today a little bit. So I'm not quite sure how long the talk will take, depending on your question, depending how long I'm going to hold up for here. But I would love to start up with a bit of a story about myself. I used to live in Melbourne, Australia. And if you are from Melbourne or if you are from Australia, you may know the beautiful Albert Park Lake close to the center or the CBD of Melbourne. And I saw myself in the past, and we go now back really 10 years ago, stuck in old ways of doing things. You know, obviously things the way we have been doing in the past may have served us well, but it doesn't mean that they serve us well right now. And as you are as well, an aware individual, if you will, I also was aware about my own constraints and my own ways of doing things. And, you know, I knew that my current version of myself would not allow me to move into or to becoming the version that I knew I wanted to become, to doing the things in life that I felt congruent and right about executing on, if this makes sense. And so what I knew though was that I had to change my mind. I had to change the way I perceive the world. I had to change the way I execute my tasks. I had to change the way I view myself. And I knew also that in order to do that, I had to rewire or rethink the way I perceive everything around me. So I remember after work and before work at times as well in Melbourne, around the Albert Park Lake, which is roughly about a 4K loop, if you will, I put on my headphones and listened to inspirational speakers, listened to motivational speeches, if you will, to making sure that I create a different reality, that I associate to different types of people that hopefully elevate my way of thinking, if this makes sense. And like yourself as well, you may see yourself as well right now stuck in a certain way of doing things, and we call it looping into old habits or into old ways of doing things. And you may be aware about that these things don't serve you anymore. You may be attracting different types of relationships that you don't really want to attract, or you don't have the finances you want to attract into your life to do the things with your life the way you want to do them, or you don't really see yourself losing the weight that you want to lose. We have all different scenarios in life that create our stuck self, and we know who we want to become. So I was walking around Albert Park Lake, and I knew that I wanted to move out from my reality of being stuck and moving into a different person to do the things that I wanted to do. And fast forward 10 years later, and it didn't take 10 years, I now consult to, again, global multi-international corporations as a consultant in different industries. But my heart and my soul is really helping aware individuals from all walks of life to overcoming their own emotional barriers to evolve and to ultimately create more meaningful results. Because this is, I believe, what we are after, what we are all here for to do. It's a challenge and we need to look at ourselves, but this is so, so important. And the problem that I'm seeing nowadays is that so many people are aware about their own stuck self, and they are aware about that they want to move out of that, but they don't have any strategies or any techniques of how to go about that. And that creates a problem. Because you may see yourself in 10, 20, 30, 40 years time from now, still stuck where you used to be. And obviously sitting on your bench in the park, if you will, pardon me, or at home in 20, 30, 40 years time and contemplating on who you could have been is a terrible existence. I would not want to be at that stage. And yes, we have fears, and yes, we have challenges coming up. But as soon as you create strategies and techniques of how to overcoming those fear-based realities and clear action steps and clarity around your life where you want to be, it really becomes quite simple. And this is what I would love to share with you today. So there's something called the choice maker, and there are two things I would love to accomplish today. The first thing, I would love to give you a theoretical concept, and I don't have a drawing board or anything that I could show you visually, so I'm going to use my hands and trying to make the point here. But I'm going to introduce to you something what I call, or the process that I call the choice maker, and I've taught that many, many times before in my retreats and seminars, one-on-one and so on. And the choice maker is really a concept that makes you understand the relationships between thoughts and between the thought-based reality, and the importance of and how mindfulness strategies allow to collaboratively work with thought. So you can create your goals and you can go out there and make things happen, but you also need that calm and that calm and relaxation within yourself to execute on those things that you want to execute on. So let's get right into that. So the choice maker is the concept around that thoughts. So if you imagine a bulk of thoughts in a period of time, so we have thousands of thoughts per day, we have thousands of thoughts per hour, right? And what are thoughts? Well, if you think about it, thoughts are constructs of the mind that have been created in the past through your upbringing, through your social network, through the way what you became to believe is right and wrong. And you got to understand that this time lapse is a self-feeding process, if you will. So you start 10 years ago, and 10 years onwards, thoughts have been manipulating or have been affected each other. So the initial thought affects thought 2. Thought 2 affects thought 3. And there's always an imprint, if you will, in thoughts as they progress in time, right? So you may think about sitting at work, and you may think about lunch, and you may think about I'm hungry, And that feeling or that sensation or that thought of being hungry makes you create other thoughts in your mind of what you could eat. And as you create thoughts in your mind of what you could eat, it may make you more hungry, right? So you see this process in a very simple frame right now, theoretically explained, obviously, of what thoughts do to your progression in life and your way of perceiving yourself and the world. And the choice maker creates awareness around not just where your thoughts are, what you're thinking about. So for us to contemplate on what's going on up here, because if we are not aware about what's happening up here, how can you change actions or your reality? Well, the answer is you can't, quite obviously. And that is a problem for many people because we have not understood yet, pardon me, I have this cough. If you know any good remedy, natural-based remedy that I can take to solve my cough, please put in the comments below because I need some help, I think. And also, if you have any questions, pop it below as well. I'm trying to, as I talk, go through my comments lists as well here to answer them either live or either when you watch it in replay. And so the thoughts, the choice maker really, again, is this process of understanding what thoughts influence each other. And again, as I said, thought one influences thought two. So if you think of lunch break, while sitting at work, you may think about, okay, what could I eat? And this creates a feeling or a sensation of, I'm getting more hungry, right? And this is a self-feeding process that influences and that informs a time lapse. So you're starting 10 years ago, and this is a true reason through social imprints, through your own upbringing, through the way you perceive the world, through you believing what's right and wrong, of creating your own reality, creating your own self. And if you want to become a person that is not the person, that wants to create a different reality, you have to change. You have to become a different person. It's probably fair to say that your current self is unable to become a different person. So you have to change in the process in order to create the reality you want. And the choice maker, one of my processes truly is around not just becoming aware about the thoughts you're creating on a daily basis as a self-feeding process lapsed in time, but also shows you specific strategies of how to increase the gap between thoughts. And have a think about this for a moment. If thought one influences and imprints on thought two, what is the likelihood of you changing dramatically as a person? It's probably very unlikely because you are in this loop of self, if you will, that has been affecting you since childhood, right? And again, the choice maker explains the importance of increasing the gap in time between thoughts. Have a think about this. If you want to become a different person, and if you want to have authentic a true vision or a true change of direction, you need to set an inflection point. So the inflection point is a point in between thought that allows you a moment of clarity so you can change the direction of how you have been living your life historically. Because if you are in the loop of thoughts, it is very unlikely, unless you have a natural shift in consciousness, that you are able to change. You may change over 20 years, yes, but to have a dramatic change, it is very unlikely. So this is now the collaboration and the interplay between thought and mindfulness, or thought and consciousness, or whatever, neuro-linguistic program and spirituality, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't really matter. What matters is the fact that we want to become aware about thought and increase the space in between it so you have an inflection point and you can create a genuine change in direction that allows you to move on and become a different person. Guys, unless you do that and unless you understand that, there's no way you have a dramatic change in your life. And I struggled with that for so many years. Again, James, good to see you as well, buddy. I used to live in Melbourne again. I kept walking around Albert Park Lake with my headphones plugged in, listening and watching inspirational speakers, because I knew I had to change my reality, but I had no immediate instantaneous strategy of how to go about that. And that was a problem, because it took a huge time. And so to explain to you of what I did, and it's incredible, because it's so, sorry for my life, so freaking simple that it's almost mundane to even talk about it. But guys, what I did, I literally just understood the importance of sitting down and not doing anything. Just stop for a second. Just stop all this freaking running around and this frantic pursuit of whatever you pursue. It's not worth it. I've been, when I was standing with famous speakers and having TV and radio and guest speakers flying in and VIP guests in my seminars, I was such a busy guy. I was like a busy bee, just running around like a guy without head, like a headless chicken, if you will. And I use that terminology quite a bit because I see so many people doing that, online, offline. Their thought and the way they execute their vision is admirable. I love it. And I love it because there's so many people who don't do that, who just sit around, they're pitying themselves and don't do anything. So kudos on you if you are out there and actually make it happen. San, you're one of them for sure. Just make clear, Santan has an amazing retreat in Bali called Om Unity Bali. Look it up, incredible. He is doing lots of projects around sustainability, helping communities. So I've been there myself for 1 week, I think in 2015 or so. And just, I love it. Just quickly on that note. And so stop running around. Make space and make time for you to realize that we have to stop, and we have to stop this process of seeking something for you to realize that you already have it. And the only thing you gotta do is just stop for a second and literally stop the car that you have been driving for decades, if you will. Stop the car, turn the freaking engine off and look at the map. Look where you're at. Look what you have been, look the journey you have been traveling. Appreciate and be grateful for the effort you have put into traveling this journey. And make sure that you stop the car and make sure you reevaluate and you reevaluate and you relook at your life. And you ask yourself, where do you want to travel next? Ask yourself, what is your direction in life? What I see so many people do is that driving around their car all life long without stopping, without looking at the map, and comes end of life, they first of all haven't understood where they have been driving towards to, nor are they acknowledging the fact that they have been aimlessly driving pretty much in circles. So stop the car and look at the map and reevaluate where you go and ask yourself, what is your direction? What turns do you have to take to get where you want to be? Very important. And the way you do that is very simple. Before you go to work, before you consult, before you take care of your beautiful children, before you do sport, before you do pretty much, pardon me, before you do pretty much anything, get up half an hour early, put some nice music on or whatever you need to do, close your eyes and breathe. And it is so simple. And it may not, you may have to do that for 30 days to create a habit around, because if you have been living out your own life, I'm just going to check the time here. If you have been living out your own life, by rushing in the morning, by rushing to work, by rushing to eat, by rushing to do sport, but pretty much rushing to do anything, it's engrooved in yourself. So you consciously have to make the effort to get up half an hour early, to not rush around, to actually find the time and to ease into the day. And the way I do that, I get up every morning, if I can, around 5:30, 5:45, latest 6:15. Because I have to consult as well. I have to get out of my house as well and consult one-on-one, in groups, large groups, and so on, right? So, but what this allows you to do, or what I do, I go in the kitchen, I get a big glass of water. This is probably about 800 milliliters. Put some apple cider vinegar in there, some lemon. It moves the lymphatic system and so on, and really gives me a nice, clean, fresh start. I saw myself many years ago, having a bread or other heavy things in the morning. Start with something light. Give the body some time to clean itself for the first 2-3 hours, if you will. This is my strategy, and this is what I recommend you try as well. And then I go into a space that I've created at my home, and I usually put some headphones in to have some music, to just have some gentle music on the sides, and I go through a meditation practice. So I go straight away into a meditative state, and I can do that nowadays pretty much on the go because I've practiced that. And I had a huge shift in 2012, in August 2012. And for the ones of you that know me before August 2012, you know what I'm talking about. And things have changed dramatically in my life. So I can right now go into an immediate state of just emptiness, which is so incredible in terms of a meditative state. Then I go through a meditation practice, a breathing tech. I go through 2 breathing techniques that I can teach, or that I can let you know. Just tell me down below in the comment if you're interested to knowing what I do, so I'll let you know. So I go through 2 breathing techniques, and then I do some light yoga as well to get my blood circulation up and running, my heart rate up and running, and so on. And then I have a shower. I have a cold shower, warm and then cold, to just wake up my body and just to really get kicking, if this makes sense. And then I start working at 7 a.m. I work from 7 to 8:30, and then I start consulting. When I say I start working from 7 to 8:30, I usually work on my business. I do a few things left and right before I start consulting one-on-one on groups. And so that is a very powerful process because, one, I don't anymore rush around in the morning, which is a huge change. I nurture my body through some nutrition. I'm just gonna maybe have a drink actually. Through some nutrition, and then I nurture my mind as well. And just reflecting back on the choice maker that I just talked about, is that through this practice you can see that you interrupt and you create inflection points in between thoughts. And if you don't get that, I promise that you will end up in 10 years time, maybe not 20, but probably in 10 years, 5 or 10 years time, being pretty much the same person you are right now. And if you know that you want to change, and if you're aware about that there are stuck ways of you doing things and they don't serve you anymore, you gotta learn of how to respect thoughts. And you gotta learn of how to respect the way thought interacts with consciousness and with mindfulness strategies. And I just taught you, just to reflect on that for the people that have joined just newly or that watch the replay, you got to create space in between thoughts, pretty much for you self, for your authentic self, to look through the curtain of illusion, if you will, to sit down and say, well, thank you so much, Seb. Thank you so much for your thoughts. But I'm the master, I'm the king of the world. And let me just see what you have been doing, you little man. And let me just get in there and change a few things, because I know what my authentic direction is. And I know what I want to achieve. And I'm powerful and I want to go somewhere where I want to go. You're just the servant of helping me to accomplish that. Right? And you know that. So change something about it. So that pretty much concludes what I wanted to talk about. So for the ones of you that are online right now, and for the ones of you that have left comments, or for the ones of you that watch the replay, leave your comments below, because I will go through that and answer them one by one, about strategies on consulting, about how to create this gap, and so on. So let me know on that. And also, as you know, I consult, and if you see yourself right now stuck and you are aware about where you're at and you are aware about where you want to go and you have no strategies or no idea of how to go about that, contact me. Send me a private message and let's see if we can help each other. Let me see if I can help you, right? So we interact and see what we can do together, okay? So that's from me today. For the ones of you that were live, thank you so much for tuning on. If you're tuning in right now, you may want to watch the replay to really get the gist of today's video. My name is Sebastian Wichmann, and really what I stand for, what my vision is, to helping individuals from all walks of life and helping them to create a meaningful life through creating meaningful results by evolving and by letting go and by really transitioning from your current self to your future self. Okay. I wish you a wonderful day. Again, it's a Saturday here in Spain. I live in Madrid at the moment, and wherever you are in the world, I wish you a wonderful day. I know that at the US or in the US, it's quite late already. In Australia, nice greetings to you everywhere in the world. Have a wonderful day, and I speak to you very soon. Take care. Bye bye.